Strategist.
Friday on NBC, Jimmy Fallon and Bozoma St. John host the incredible new competition show.
I hired 10 creatives from all walks of life. They will be battling it out to see who can impress the world's biggest brands.
This is a huge opportunity.
This is the battle for the next big idea.
This is not play.
We're spending millions of dollars.
I'm so excited to embark on this adventure with all of you.
May the best idea win!
On Brand with Jimmy Fallon, Friday on NBC.
Hey business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 125,000 bonus miles for a limited time through October 29th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends October 29th, 2025.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Have you ever thought about what it really takes to stay steady when life doesn't go as planned? Most of us were taught that resilience means toughing it out, right? Pushing harder, never letting them see you sweat. You know, that old script, grit your teeth, grab another coffee when you're feeling like you need a boost, stay up a little later to finish it out, work through the weekend, and just keep going. But here's the thing. That kind of grit isn't sustainable. It drains your energy, it scatters your focus, and it leaves you running on fumes. And while you may think you're holding it all together and showing up polished, what you and the people around you actually get isn't your best. It's the tired, stretched thin version of you. And I think deep down, you already know that. Because even when you power through, the cost shows up later, doesn't it? When you finally stop and the exhaustion hits, or when your clarity slips and you're second-guessing yourself in places you're usually solid. That's why I want to start this month off with something a little different. Hello, and welcome back to Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, and today I want to talk about resilience, not as something you power through, but as something you design so that it sustains you, it fuels you, and it supports the life you truly want to live. Resilience has never really been about sheer willpower. It's built by design. It's the systems that you build so that you can keep your energy steady instead of leaking it everywhere. It's the resets that you protect so that you can recover before you hit empty. And it's the way you learn to direct your energy with intention instead of letting it get pulled in every direction. When resilience is intentional, not accidental, you don't just get through hard seasons, you rise with clarity and strength. And that's exactly what I want to dive into today. And so let me paint this in real terms, because chances are you've either seen it or you've lived it yourself, or maybe even both. A colleague of mine used to power through almost every single day at work. She'd skip breaks, she'd stay late, and she'd push harder even when her body was begging her to slow down. On the outside, she looked like the model of resilience, or what most of us have believed resilience looks like, because she was always dependable, always delivering. But eventually her body forced her to stop. And she had to take a leave of absence for her health, not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. And she's not the only one. I know many women who've burnt out so badly, they've had to take months off from work. One even telling me that she had to walk away from her business that she loved doing because she just couldn't do it anymore. Now, I've done it too, meaning I pushed until I hit the wall of emotional burnout. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you know I've talked about that story before, a couple of times actually. Now, from the outside looking in, all of us looked strong. But underneath the polished deadlines, the dependable deliveries, and the brave face we put on, we were unraveling. And so powering through wasn't resilience for us at all. It was survival. And survival always takes more than it gives. Real resilience shows up when you design it, when you build in resets before you hit empty, when you protect your energy with decision filters, and when you stop carrying everything just because you can. That's when resilience doesn't just get you through, it allows you to rise clearer, calmer, and stronger. So here's where I want to take us in today's episode. First, we're going to pull apart the myth that willpower equals resilience, because the truth is, when you're pushing through on grit alone, you're not being resilient at all. You're just surviving. And survival might get you through a moment, but it won't sustain you through a season or a lifetime. Next, we'll look at the hidden cost of white-knuckling your way through. Because here's what I want you to understand. Every "I'll just push a little harder" comes with a price. Your energy, your focus, your presence, the time that you've used up, and most of all, the people who you're trying to show up for don't get the strong version of you. They get the scattered, depleted one. And finally, we're going to talk about how to shift into resilience by design, where you build in systems that protect your energy, your focus, and your emotional bandwidth. In essence, also protecting your time, which is so valuable, right? Because real resilience isn't about proving that you can carry more. It's about creating a way of living that allows you to rise clear, steady, and strong no matter what season you're in. So by the end of our time together, I want you to see resilience not as something you force, but as something you build intentionally and in a way that actually sustains you. So let's start with the belief that traps so many of us, because I know you've probably carried it too. When you think of resilience, what's the first picture that comes to mind? I want you to take a second, just think about this. I know for so many women that I've talked to, resilience has looked like showing up to the morning meeting with tired eyes and a smile that hides how depleted you really are. Or being the dependable one, always saying yes, saying "I'm fine" when you're not, always holding it together while no one sees the toll it's taking behind the scenes, all while your body and your mind are quietly waving the red flag. It's the mindset of powering through no matter what, proving that you can take on more, hold it all together, and never let them see you sweat, even if it costs you your sleep, your patience, and your peace of mind. It's those little moments that become habits that we don't even question anymore, like grabbing another coffee instead of giving yourself permission to rest, like, oh, I just need a boost. Or logging back into your computer after dinner because you promised someone you'd get something done right away. Or maybe even rearranging your calendar for the third time this week because you don't want to let anyone down. And we tell ourselves, this is what strong looks like. We've even normalized it, and we wear it like a badge of honor. Because if you can juggle more, if you can survive on less sleep, if you can keep showing up even when your body and your mind are begging you to stop, that must mean you're resilient, right? You've maybe even said things like, if I slow down, I'll lose momentum. Or, you don't understand, I have so much on my plate, I have no time to slow down. Or even, if I don't push harder, I'll fall behind. And maybe you've told yourself versions of these so many times that it feels wrong to slow down, to take a breath, to admit you can't carry it all. Because somewhere along the way, you decided slowing down meant failing. But here's what's sneaky about this belief. It feels empowering in the moment because there's a rush to it, a pride that comes from thinking, I can handle it, I can keep going when others can't. It feels like strength, but it's not resilience. Because powering through isn't about building strength. It's about burning through reserves you may not even realize you're draining. Think about it. Every time you white knuckle your way through, what you're actually doing is teaching yourself that the only way to survive is to sacrifice yourself, that your worth is proven in how much you can absorb, how much you can handle, or how much you can take on before you break. And that script, I'll just push harder, I can do this, I can hold it all together just a little bit longer, doesn't build resilience at all. It just puts you into survival mode. And survival mode might get you through that season that you're in, but it's not a system that you can actually rely on or live in or sustain forever. So here's what I want you to hear clearly. Resilience has never been about proving how much you can carry. It's not about running on fumes and calling it strength. It's not about powering through and ignoring your needs so no one else has to adjust. Because when you live by that script, when you equate resilience with willpower, you're not creating sustainability. You're setting yourself up for burnout. Now, take a deep breath because here's where it gets real. On the surface, powering through looks like resilience because to everyone else, you look dependable, strong, and capable, right? People might even admire you for it, might even praise you for it. But what it's actually costing you, that's the part most of us don't even think about it. We miss that. The truth is, every time you push through without recalibrating, you're trading long-term steadiness for a short-term survival. And here's what that looks like. It's the moment where you say yes to one more client project, even though you know your plate's already full. You get it done, but the whole time you're running on fumes, stealing from your sleep, and quietly resenting your client, the project, and yourself for not honoring your own limits. It's telling yourself you'll rest later only to find that later never actually comes because there's always more. So instead of recharging, you roll into the next day, even more depleted than the day before. And you wonder why your patience is thinner, why your creativity feels flat, and why you can't quite access the clarity you usually rely on. It's you showing up at dinner with your family, but you're not really there because your brain is still circling that email you sent earlier that day or that meeting you agreed to and you knew you didn't have the bandwidth. And then there's the brain fog, the kind that makes it hard to be fully present with your kids, with your spouse, with enjoying your family time because they get your company, but not your connection. They get the version of you who's physically in the room, but not the steady, grounded presence they deserve, that you deserve. And maybe this will resonate. When you live like this for too long, survival mode becomes your normal because you get so used to running on adrenaline and overextension that you don't even realize you've drifted from yourself until suddenly it shows up as a crash, like burnout even. It's the migraines that might force you to bed or the irritability that spills out onto the people you love. The fogginess that makes you second guess decisions you'd normally make with ease. And the hardest part is that every time you white knuckle your way through, you're not just draining your energy, you're teaching yourself to ignore what you need. And the thing is, deep down, you already know that you're overriding your own signals. You already know that you need to pause, to reset, to say no or not right now. But when you ignore your own cues, you're sending yourself the message that your needs don't matter as much as holding it together for everyone else. And that, my friend, is not resilience. That's just depletion dressed up as strength. So here's where I want you to pause and really consider a different lens. Because after you've white-knuckled your way through another week, after you've traded your rest, your clarity, and even your peace just to keep things afloat, it's easy to believe that the only solution is to just get stronger, to toughen up, push harder, add another layer of grit to keep yourself from cracking. But let me ask you, how many times have you already tried that? How many times have you told yourself, I just need to push through this busy season, only to find that the season never actually ends? How many times have you promised yourself that you'll rest later, only to watch later get pushed further and further out of reach? You see, that cycle of resilience as willpower doesn't create strength. It creates fragility because the second your energy dips, your whole system collapses. And you know that. You felt it. So I want you to imagine this. What if resilience was never meant to be about proving how much you can carry? What if resilience is actually about learning how to stop carrying more than you were ever designed to carry at one time? You see, we often fall into that trap of believing that doing it all at once, all at the same time, every day, is the only way to prove that we're strong. telling ourselves to suck it up, buttercup, push through, and not be the one who drops the ball. But the truth is, resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about designing your life to support you so that the way you move through your days actually sustains you instead of drains you. Think of it like this. If your cell phone died every afternoon by 3 p.m., you wouldn't be rated for being weak. You'd look at the system it's running on, right? You'd check which apps are draining the most energy. You'd make sure that your charger wasn't the issue. And if there was a problem, you'd definitely be on the phone with your cell phone provider to figure it out so that you could put systems in place so that your phone has what it needs to last, right? Or let's look at this from a different lens. Think about a business that has grown but never built the right systems. The founder still tries to make every decision, approve every detail, and run every department, even though there are team members who could take ownership. And what happens? Bottlenecks, burnout, and breakdown. But when workflows are designed, rules are clear, right? And when the right systems are in place, the business doesn't just survive, it thrives. That's the difference between a leader surviving their business and a leader building a business that sustains them. That's the difference between survival mode and sustainable design. And that's what resilience by design looks like. It's not another pep talk about willpower. It's not about faking strength while you quietly fall apart. Because I don't believe that fake it till you make it mentality, because that can just push you into burnout. Rather, it's about having the practical systems that you put into place to protect your time, to protect your energy, your clarity, your focus, so you can keep showing up strong without burning yourself out in the process. And this matters because when your resilience is rooted in willpower, it's reactive and you're constantly responding to emergencies, reacting to the next demand, or pushing yourself one more step past the edge. But when your resilience is designed, it's proactive because you've built in the buffers, you've built in the resets, the filters that keep you steady so that challenges don't knock you completely off course. So look at it this way. Let's look at it from this lens. Resilience by design looks like recovery rituals you actually protect, not the self-care checklist you think you should do, but the micro resets that refill you in real time. Like maybe you factor in 10-minute pauses between calls so that you're not sprinting either from one phone call to the next or from one Zoom meeting to the next, or shutting your laptop down at noon on Fridays so that you can take your walk, clear your head before moving into your weekend. The point isn't how long it is. It's that you design it on purpose so that you don't wait until you crash to restore yourself. Resilience by design also looks like energy filters that help you pause before you say yes. It's your process you put in place for a quick check-in to ask yourself, is this opportunity, this ask by someone, aligned with my priorities right now? Or is it another obligation wearing a disguise of opportunity? That one moment of clarity can save you hours of resentment later. And this is why I use my yes reset method, especially the first part where it's the 3-question yes filter, to really make sure that I take any opportunity, any ask, anything that I even think I want to do through it to make sure that it's in alignment with right now. So I'm not going to start wasting not only my time, but my energy and my focus. And resilience by design also looks like decision systems that support you so you can categorize what's for right now, what's for later, and really maybe what's not yours to carry at all. Your brain doesn't spin on every request when you have a decision filter in place, decision systems in place, because you've already trained it to sort and release. And that lived shift that happens when you move from survival to design is that you stop waking up feeling already depleted because you've built in recovery systems, recovery time for yourself instead of waiting until you crash. And you stop saying yes to things that don't align with where you're at right now. And you start saying yes to things that genuinely energize you, moving your priorities forward and reflecting the life you actually want to live. You stop second guessing every no because you've learned to trust your filters instead of relying on guilt to make your choices. You stop carrying the weight of everyone else's comfort on your shoulders because you've learned to honor your own capacity first. And this is important because when you honor your own capacity first, you're not being selfish. Instead, you're setting yourself up to show up as your best in whatever capacity that is where you're giving and how you're leading and how you're living your life. And here's the part I really need you to hear. When you operate from resilience by design, you don't just have more energy for yourself, you're more present for the people you love. Because instead of showing up at dinner with nothing left but your scattered attention, you're there with the people you love, fully present, not half listening while your mind's spinning on emails or unfinished tasks. Instead of resenting the commitments you said yes to, you show up fully for the ones you chose with intention because they're aligned. They light you up and they let you give the best of yourself without depletion. That's the shift I want you to feel in your bones because resilience isn't built in the moment that you're already at your breaking point. It's built in how you design your day, in the filters you use for your decisions, and the rituals you protect long before the crisis hits. Because when resilience is designed and it's not left to willpower, you don't just survive hard seasons, you rise through them clear and steady. So here's where I want you to pause with me for a second. Because at the end of the day, what you want isn't to keep proving how much you can take, is it? If you're being honest with yourself, you're not craving another badge of honor for pushing through. And you certainly don't want resilience that leaves you crawling into bed at night only to wake up foggy and already behind the next morning. What you really want is to know that no matter what life throws at you, you won't lose yourself in the process. You want to wake up with clarity instead of dread. You want to move through your day steady, not scattered. And you want to end your week with energy left for yourself and the people you love because your systems supported you instead of drained you. You see, it's not about being the woman who can do it all without breaking. It's about being the woman who designs her life so that she doesn't have to break in the first place. Because let's be real, resilience isn't about bouncing back from exhaustion every time. It's not about you running yourself into the ground and depleting yourself. It's about you being able to walk into uncertain seasons and still feel grounded, clear, and in control because you know you've built the resets, the filters, and the support systems that keep you steady. And underneath all of that, it becomes less about surviving the curveballs and instead rising through them with your peace, your presence, and your priorities intact. That's the kind of resilience that doesn't just carry you through the hard days. It's resilience that gives you the freedom to fully live the good ones. So let's bring this back to your habits. Think about the last time you powered through when you knew you were already running on empty. Maybe it was cramming in that extra client call when your body was begging for a break. Maybe it was pushing yourself to finish just one more thing and it was already midnight, but you kept telling yourself you'd catch up on rest later. Or maybe it was holding it all together for everyone else, even though you could feel your patience running thin and your clarity slipping. Be honest with yourself. Did those moments leave you feeling stronger? Or did they leave you more scattered and drained? Because here's the truth. Most of us don't stop to ask ourselves if resilience always leaves us depleted, or is it really resilience? Or is it survival wearing a mask, right? I want you to sit with this for a minute. What would change if resilience stopped being about proving how much you can take and started being about protecting the systems that keep you steady? Because here's the thing. Most of us already know what it feels like to push past our limits. But what we don't often stop to consider is how much more life opens up when we design how we use our time and our energy differently. Because when you're no longer living in survival mode, you get to experience steadiness that doesn't disappear the moment pressure shows up. And you get to trust that your energy, your clarity, and your peace aren't constantly at risk of being traded away. Which is why I want to ask you this question. Have you started to notice that you're spending a lot of energy pushing through, relying on sheer willpower to hold it all together and convincing yourself that you'll rest later only to find that later never comes? Have you ever wondered if there's a different way, a way that lets you build resilience by design where your steadiness comes from systems, not strain? This is exactly the work we do inside the Aligned Self-Mastery Experience. It's about self-acceptance, resilience and energy mastery, and aligned relationships so that your steadiness isn't left to chance. So instead of running on fumes or hoping willpower will carry you through, you learn to design your energy, your decisions, and your resets with intention. And that way, you can protect your capacity before it's gone, trust yourself in real time, and show up grounded and present for the life you're building. And I've opened up my program, and I'd love to talk to you about it if this is something that you would be interested to see what could be different, how you could live your life with more intention, using your time and your energy, using it to support you, to sustain you in building the life that you not only want to love, but one that you love living. So the way in is through a Yes Reset strategy call. And on that call, we'll uncover where white knuckling, if it has been quietly draining you, if that's what you've been doing, and map out how to design filters and resets that keep you clear, calm, and protected. And if it feels like the right next step, we'll explore whether or not the aligned self-master experience is the right next step for you. So the link for you to apply for your call is in the show notes, and I'm looking forward to connecting. Okay. Before you go, here's what I want you to carry into this week as you move through your calls, your projects, the everyday rhythms that fill your days. Resilience was never meant to be a badge that you earn for pushing past exhaustion. It's not about how much you can carry or how long you can white knuckle your way through. True resilience is about design. It's about you creating the systems that protect your steadiness before it slips, building in the resets that keep your clarity sharp, and giving yourself permission to move through your days with the energy you need and the time to use it well without sacrificing yourself in the process. Because when resilience is designed, you don't just get through your day, you rise through your day, clearer, calmer, and stronger on your own terms, and creating the kind of steadiness that lets you actually enjoy the life that you're building. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that you have an amazing day. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Every minute your finance team spends wrestling with data is a minute lost. Insight Software's AI-powered insights instantly move you from complexity to clarity. Automated analysis, real-time reporting, strategic recommendations, all at your fingertips. Transform how your finance team works and watch your business grow. Stop wasting time. Start making smarter decisions. Learn more at insightsoftware.com/AI.
You deserve better healthcare, and so do we all. Medicine in America is a podcast that shares real stories of patients and doctors reshaping the future, because the revolution in care isn't coming, it's already here. Real stories, real change, a better future for healthcare.
Electricast.